Hi, welcome and thanks for tuning in. I'm Billy Mitchell, Editor-in-Chief of FedScoop, and it's my pleasure to be joined today by Amit Walia, CEO of Informatica. Amit, thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Good to be here with you, Billy. Hope all's well at your end.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been a while since we talked last year for this summit. Now we're doing it once again, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. A lot has happened in the past year, as we all know. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say based on that crazy year that's happened in between. And I think a good way to start this conversation is to look back at the pandemic and how it shaped public sector organizations and the way that they embrace data. So let's start there. Give me your thoughts on the pandemic and public sector organizations embracing data.
Boy, a lot has happened in the last 12 or more so months for sure. First of all, and I kind of wish for all of our viewers out there and all the people who are joining this that, look, everybody's safe and healthy. People are getting vaccinated and they obviously take care of their families and the communities. It's paramount for all of us. Look, if you step back in the last 12 months or so, the pandemic has really accelerated, and that's been the biggest accelerator of all things digital, and I would say digital transformation, and further accelerating the continued push for cloud, walking into this year and for many years to come forward as I look around public sector. And as I talk to our public sector customers, we see public sector going all in embracing a cloud-first data strategy to fight COVID, actually. I'll give you a few examples. I mean, one of the biggest states on the East Coast, obviously they were the hardest hit in the early days of COVID, and leveraging our data platform, they were able to figure out where the right PPE was and where they can take it from and route it to the places that needed immediate help so that the right PPE is at the right place at the right time. And if you go all the way to the West Coast where I live, the state of California, I mean, obviously California is done well, but some of the other issues that we're dealing with is one of them is providing homeless people home. And it's a big data initiative to make sure we understand the accuracy of data and make sure we can look at what people need and provide them with the right kind of housing in the right locations. All of that is a big data initiative, leveraging data warehousing, data analytics by data analysts and data scientists. So pandemic has accelerated digital transformation led by data. And I thought these are some great examples to see different initiatives coming to fruition.
Thank you for that. And that's a great start. And I think it'll feed into the rest of our conversation. And it's, immediately where I want to take it is to ask you, what industry trends do you think the public sector should be prepared for in this, world where we're leaving the pandemic times? Who knows when it's going to be quote unquote post-pandemic, but as we go in that direction, what kind of trends should the public sector be watching out for?
I'll give you three that I see. Number one is I'll begin with all things cloud. Cloud is no longer a nice to have, but it's a must have. And as I talk to my fellow CEOs, 80% of the CEOs across the globe are moving into cloud this year in a hybrid cloud world, which is ground cloud and multiple clouds. So cloud is a must have, but hybrid cloud, fragmented cloud is the way it's going to be. Number two, it's all going to be data and AI led. Without data and without leveraging AI, the scale and scope of the problems that you're dealing with are very hard to figure out. In fact, 75% of organizations are basically want to operationalize AI to help them. And for that, good data and access to all data becomes extremely important. That's number two. Third one, across the board, but I think for public sector becomes even more important, security and privacy. That's a design principle, especially as you go to the cloud, especially as you become data first, and especially as more and more people within your enterprise want access to data to make decisions. Security and privacy is a design principle. So three things from my point of view.
Those are great and appreciate that. Amit, as organizations mature their data strategies, as you mentioned, that's been super important, and the way that they use data, what kind of outcomes can they expect to benefit from?
I'll begin with number one, democratize data. Everybody across the enterprise should have access to whichever data they need access to make business decisions. We cannot make data be hostage to some system or location. So that's number one, democratize data. But that leads to my number two. Data is fragmented. In fact, it will be more and more fragmented because so many systems, whether it's ground, whether it's the cloud fragmentation, so many custom systems that or applications that get built. Data will be sitting in a lot of places, but you want to have a single view of your data by not bringing data together, but bringing the metadata together, which is data about data. So get a unified view of your enterprise data wherever it sits for analytics, governance, compliance purposes, whatever be the case. Third one is make data work for you. So leverage AI. So derive data intelligence, which is powered by AI, so that you can do things that you've never been able to do before. Because the scale and scope of what we need to do, the outcomes that we want will be helped by AI working for you, working with you. That's the third one from my point of view.
I think that one's important, making data work for you. I like that one a lot. Amit, as we move forward, what challenges sort of remain in public sector's use of data, and what do you propose can be done to improve upon those challenges?
Two things. One is, look, fragmentation of data is a big challenge. As I said, right, infrastructures are getting more and more fragmented. We have hundreds of applications, hundreds of infrastructures, hundreds of databases, hundreds of databases, so on and so forth. Data is fragmented in so many different places. Connecting all of this data, but the right data with the right people to make decisions is a difficult task. And that's where data management comes. So that's one challenge. Data fragmentation, how do we bring the right data with the right people so that they can make decisions? Number two, privacy and trust of data. To me, that is an important one. We cannot let go of the core principles that data has to have privacy and trust and governance as design principles. Those to me will remain two challenges, but those are opportunities to help public sector.
And Amit, as we close out here, we have to acknowledge that the public sector doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's plenty of other industries out there that are dealing with the same challenges. So what can the public sector learn from other verticals, other industries on how to succeed in the next phase of this digital transformation?
Three things. One is thinking of data as a platform in itself. Like data has to be a thing that sits in the middle across everything. So you have to invest in data as a platform, not as a physical some platform, but as a conceptual platform. Number two, really creating a data first mindset and culture, which is training and enabling and making sure there are data literates across your organization. And trust me, people are hungry to become more and more data literate. And the third one, and I think that'll be a great way to make all of these things stick, is invest in a CDO, chief data officer. Every large organization I around see who have gone through that journey have really reaped the benefit and reward of that one. So investing in a chief data officer allows you to do the things that I just talked about.
That's great. And I think that's something that the federal government's definitely working towards. That's not always happening, but I think that it would be good for them to do that as well. So Amit, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much, though. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, and I hope you're doing well.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.